in your marriage if you'd have really thrown your whole self. You've always been casual and never been committed.
First and foremost, the thing I want y'all to understand, I would never let a circumstance or a situation define my life. I have been working my whole life. And what I didn't understand, by being determined to chase something, by being committed to it, commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you have set it in has left. You see, people think commitment is saying, yes, I'll do it on the days when it feel good. But I have been committed to everything that I ever started in my life, and I never quit it. And so by being committed to everything that I started, I finished it. It built a certain type of spirit. It built a certain type of individual. And so now I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. I had too much sweat equity in my life and everything that I was doing. I understood the process is more important than the product. It wasn't about the outcome for me, but I was going to fall in love with that process because I understood by falling in love with that process, it was going to turn me into a machine.
Your whole life is a facade. The whole thing is a fake. And now you're getting older and you'll never get to see what you could have been because the cost is the commitment that you've never been willing to pay. Half studied, half worked, and then wonder why I thought I'd be further than I am at the age. It is not the devil, it is not demons, and it's sure God ain't haters, because you have never thrown your whole self at anything in your life. And you think greatness goes on sale. But true quality never goes on sale.
Promise yourself you'll read the books until your skills change. You'll practice it until you develop the skill. Never give up until, however long that is. Step by step, piece by piece, go for it. Don't miss the chance to grow. Then you'll discover some of life's best treasures when you pay that price.
God's up to some amazing stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, as you look at yourself, look at your goals and dreams. As we look at all that's going on, here's what we know. God is up to some amazing stuff. Because in this thing called life, it's about handling and transforming ourselves to accommodate the disruptions of life. As you look at yourself, look at your goals and dreams. What's most important is just keep focused that your faith is a down payment on your future. Come on, somebody. Focus on your faith, not your problems. Focus on your faith, not your bills. Focus on keeping yourself strong, because the problems and challenges, they will always be there. If it ain't one thing, it's another. That's a part of life. Keep this in mind. Good quote. When things go wrong, don't go with them. Hello? There are things that's going to happen. Sometimes people will snap on you. I'm on the elevator, and they clearly, you can only have 4 people on there at a time. But then this guy going to run and jump on there to be the 5th person. That's just, excuse me, sir. You see these spots here? You're not supposed to be in the middle of us. He looked at us and waved his hand. And I'm saying to myself, you about to make me lose my mind. And he's one of those people that aggravate me, who wear their mask beneath their nose. And he went, phew. I said, hey, homie, you better pull that up. Do you hear me? So in this place where we are, it's a special time. What are the talents? What are the skills? What are the ideas that you can be working on right now that can change your life? A lot of people spend all kind of TV time and watching old fights and sporting events. But this is no time to be a fan. Listen to me. Listen to me. You have something special. I believe that we all have built-in greatness. But most people don't take the time to put in the effort and the time to discover that greatness. And if you don't focus, if you don't put in the effort, if you don't work it, it doesn't work. And I say to you, this time where we are, God is up to some amazing stuff. There's a reckoning going on. Things are being exposed. The sheet, the curtain is being pulled back. It's going to take everything in you. It's going to take everything in you. Take no prisoners. And if you have this kind of mindset, even if you don't have 2 pennies to rub together, even if you're going through foreclosure, even if you've had your car repossessed, all that, it doesn't mean anything. What matters most, not what happens to you, but what happens in you. Do what you have to do to reach your goal, to change your life. Do what you have to do. And see, a lot of people don't want to do what they have to do. You know what they don't want to do? They don't want to work, so they prefer to suffer. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy way. You are more than a conqueror. When you focus on the possibilities, when you focus and put your energy on working on finding the solution, as Willie Jolly would say, a setback is a setup for a comeback. You have comeback power. You have greatness in you. And your circumstances, your situation, that does not determine it. That's why we are told, judge not according to appearances. There's mindsight and there is eyesight. People who have mindsight, they call forth those things that be not. They live out of their imagination and not their history. Your faith is a down payment on your future. Keep the faith even as things are going on right now with all the divisiveness, with all the lies. Keep the faith, baby, and social distancing. Oh, keep the faith. You were born to do great things.
We can all find a reason to live sour, to have a chip on our shoulders. You have to learn to let things go. What's happened in your past cannot stop what God has in your future. God wouldn't have allowed it if it was going to keep you from your destiny. But if we go around discouraged, why did it happen? Why did this door close? That's going to keep us from the new things God has in store. The scripture says the rain falls on the just and the unjust. No one is exempt from difficulties. But here's the key. If you'll stay in faith, that setback is setting you up for God to show out in your life. Instead of being sour, put on this fresh new attitude. Father, you said you'd give me beauty for these ashes. You said what was meant for harm, you would turn to my advantage. So Lord, I want to thank you that I'm not only coming out, but I'm going to come out better. In the scripture, Job went through a great trial. Wasn't fair. He didn't do anything wrong, but everything fell apart. At first, he had a bad attitude. He complained and was bitter, but he didn't stay there. When it looked like he was done, like there was no reason to have hope, he looked up to the heavens and said, I know my Redeemer lives. He was saying, I know God is still on the throne. I know He's bigger than what I'm facing. He put on this fresh new attitude. If he would have stayed bitter, angry, discouraged, we wouldn't be talking about it. When it was all said and done, Job came out with twice what he had before. In difficult times, it's tempting to get sour. Joel, I was doing the right thing. Had this bad break. This setback came out of nowhere. You have to do like Job. Put your foot down and say, I refuse to go through life with a bad attitude. I am not going to let what happened to me, who did me wrong, what I didn't get, keep me from becoming all I was created to be. God, I know you being for me is more than the world being against me. That's what allows God to show out in your life. Too often, we're holding on to the hurts, disappointments, the things we don't understand. That poisons our attitude, steals our passion. You have to let it go. This is a new day. The scripture talks about how God created you to be like an eagle, to soar. What's interesting is an eagle doesn't eat anything that's dead. Unlike other animals that will eat a carcass, a coyote that will eat a dead cow, an eagle only feeds off of live foods, swoops down to the ocean and picks up a live fish. If you're going to be an eagle, if you're going to soar, you can't go back to the dead things in your life. Too many people are feeding off of what didn't work out, reliving the disappointments, the mistakes, the bad breaks. When they wake up, first thing they think about, who hurt them, the people that did them wrong. Quit feeding off that dead food. You can't put poison into your spirit and live a victorious life. Let it go. That's over and done. Now start feeding on live food. You know what's alive? You know the healthiest food you can put in your spirit? Promises from the scripture. I will live and not die and declare the works of the Lord. Thanks be to God who always causes me to triumph. What are you feeding on? Pay attention to what you're putting in your spirit. You're called to be an eagle, but sometimes we're acting like a chicken. Do you know a chicken will eat its own waste? A chicken feeds off of what's been discarded, off of what's supposed to be trash. Maybe that's why a chicken has wings, but it can't really fly. It holds on to what it should have released. You need to view the negative things in your life as waste. No, God doesn't waste it, but you're not supposed to feed on it. It's over. You've been through it. You've eliminated it. Now move on. Don't go back to what you've released. If you're always feeding off of what's been discarded, reliving old hurts, thinking about what you've lost, that's going to keep you from flying. But God didn't give you wings so you can stay on the ground. He didn't say you will mount up like chickens. He called you an eagle. He created you to soar. Don't let a wrong attitude keep you grounded. My father had heart disease most of his life. He struggled with his blood pressure. He came from a family that had to fight that. When I was a teenager, we used to go watch the Astros play baseball. Walking from the parking lot to the stadium, my father would have to stop several times and rest. He was out of breath. It'd been that. So long, that was normal to him. He eventually went to the doctor and they discovered the arteries to his heart were almost completely clogged. The doctor said he was only operating on 30% of what he should be. He eventually had open heart surgery. They removed all the blockage. My father was like a new man. He could walk for miles. Sometimes, like my father, our heart has become clogged. Not physically, but with offense, with self-pity, with discouragement. We don't realize it, but we're only operating operating at a percentage of what we should be. We wonder why our marriage is stale, why we're not passionate about our dreams. There are contaminants blocking the flow. We've allowed these poisons to clog up the blessings, the joy, the ideas that belong to us. The good news is you can get back to who you were created to be. You don't have to have a doctor. You can make these changes. If you will get rid of the offense, the critical spirit, the negative attitude, you'll get that spring back in your step. You'll not only enjoy life more, but you'll see favor in greater ways. What could you be if your heart was totally unclogged? How high could you fly if you didn't have contaminants holding you back? It's time to find out. Get up every morning, start putting on this fresh new attitude. This day is a gift from God. It is filled with possibilities, new ideas, new friendships. I'm asking you, like that airplane, to live nose high, focused on the good, focused on the possibilities.